What's up, YouTube? 3-Pedal J in the garage, continuing on tearing down a Frankenstein. As you can see, I have not taken the intake off or the heads. So that's what we're going to try to do today. We're going to try to get the intake and the heads off. I've got to get the turbo fold on the passenger side to EFI Specialties so that MacBuilt can fix my colossal mistakes with my welding. Not much more to say about that than that. Like, I did a terrible job at welding them up. I was teaching myself how to TIG weld, and I didn't practice. I just went at real time. But you live and you learn. You make mistakes, and that's how I learn, by making mistakes. But with that said, I gotta get the head off, especially the passenger side head. And I'd like to get the driver's side head off as well, but we'll see how that goes. So we're going to do the intake, and I wanted to show you guys the difference between a stock intake and, you know, aftermarket intakes or aftermarket fuel rails. If you guys look right back there, hopefully I'm in camera when I show you, right here, that's my feed for the fuel rail, and it's a -10. So I just take my wrench and make it a -10, and then we come off like that. Super easy, not much to it. On a factory setup, you're gonna need, I'm gonna lose some E85 here because there's some in the rails for sure. You're gonna need, I'm gonna go grab what you're gonna need to do a factory one and show. So all the 85 that's in the rails are coming out now onto the floor. So I just want to put a factory one up here and show you. This is a factory 5.7 model, and it doesn't have a rail on it, as you guys can see. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. And if we wanted to disconnect, this is like a 09 to 15 or 09 to 14 for sure, maybe even the newer models. I don't know if that works or not, but if we wanted to disconnect a factory one, you'd have to use one of these tools right here instead of a AN wrench. I have an adjustable AN wrench, and you'd find the one that fits over the piece that's too big. I think it's the blue one, or the, I'm pretty sure it's the blue one that I usually use for that. It fits over here like that. Yeah, it's the blue one. And then, so what you would do is you would put it in here, and you would squeeze and push up, and then push down and pull it out, for the factory fittings. Obviously, I have aftermarket rails on my aftermarket intake, so I don't need to do that. But I just wanted to show you guys the difference. And then, like with the factory out, you see the factory rails are here. It's got the factory crossover. This is 100% a factory 5.7 intake. It's got the 1-bar map sensor on the back right there. I have a 3-bar map sensor on mine because boost. But yeah, that's what it would look like for a factory deal. So I just wanted to show you guys that in this video real quick, and why it's a lot easier for me than it is for factory setup, because you'd have to buy these tools. I bought these a long time ago for disconnector, quick disconnects, and then it would only be one line though, so that's a good thing. So what you're going to look at is, unfortunately, I don't have all the same bolts in this guy here. So I have two Allens for the front, and then I have the rest ARP intake bolts. And I ran out. I have to buy a whole nother, for 2 bolts I got to spend $60, and I'm going to do it because I want it all to be ARP bolts. These are the ones that came with the intake. I don't like them because they're a pain and they don't get as tight as I would like them to get, but I had to do what I had to do in this particular situation. Oh man. So these front ones are just going to come out real quick. That one's loose already. This one's going to be loose here in a second. This one here is loose. It's not out yet completely though. So that one's loose. So now I got to just swap over to my 3/8 drive, connection set up here. So on these, it doesn't really matter. Simple. I do have a line running underneath that goes to the catch can right here. I've already disconnected it right there. That catch can I'm swapping out for Evolution Raceworks catch can. So we're going to implement that in the new configuration. Not that that can had any problems. I just like the motion setup better. And just like that, came off. Pretty straightforward. Have the Sicky gaskets here. The right ones. These are reusable. They definitely help out with. Heat dissipation. So we'll clean these off and reuse them. These intakes don't require, because they have O-ring seal head gaskets. But I use these because it just helps with heat. So you can put these on. I'll show you guys real quick. There is, well, geez, I don't know how to do this because I don't want to. There is, let's see if this is going to show. There are O-rings on the bottom of this deal. Yeah, it did come up. There are O-rings there, but I still use the Sicky because I trust that better than the O-rings setup. So I'm going to put these in the back of the car like I did with the other stuff. And now it's getting real, guys. It's getting real. As you can see, Frankenstein is starting to look like a vehicle that's coming apart. I'm going to take a look inside to make sure there's nothing going on with anything in there, but keep having at it. So for those of you guys that ever had to take valve covers off, they're a bit of a pain. Tools. Let's talk about tools. Tools make all the difference in the world. If you guys get the right tool for the job, it'll make doing jobs so much easier. So I have done this particular deal that I'm about to do right now a million times without this tool, and it sucks. This is like so easy to release, especially when you start getting into the heavier ones. So this is the tensioner tool. You can buy it on eBay, Harbor Freight, wherever. I got this one from Harbor Freight, but I've had one from eBay. I've got one from Amazon. Sometimes you gotta be careful with how this deal is right here. Sometimes it'll twist. Once they twist, you pretty much need to throw them away. Taking the belt off because I have a bunch of stuff that I gotta get done underneath here, and it's just gonna be easier with the belt off. Especially when you can't get the intake, the driver's side head off without taking the belt off. You just, it can't. It's the belt system. Let me see if I can show that. The belt system on the driver's side right here, that integrates into the belt, so you got to take it off, and the head's got to come off. So we're doing that now. We're doing it now. Goodness gracious, these fans are a pain in the neck to remove belts, but we got it. We got it. Belt's off. Just gonna hang it right here for right now. I don't even know if you guys can see that or not, but I just put it on the driver's side mirror. I still got to take the thermostat housing off. I got to take the radiator out. I got to drain the radiator on the side. That's just going to give me access to stuff that I got to take the passenger side head off. All of these wires are integrated right here. Let me see if I can get you guys a little closer. All of these wires are integrated. So one of them goes down to the alternator, connects, and I disconnected it, but it's the power wire in the back. And then one goes to the oil pressure switch, which is behind the alternator. So to access that stuff, the radiator needs to come out, which is really not a big deal. It's 4 13mm bolts. Got my 13mm wrench here. So let's have at it. So what I'm working on right here is the AC bolts, the AC hose line. Now I'm not gonna have any AC evaporate out of here because it doesn't have any AC in it from the million times that I've had to deal with this deal. So it's just gonna come right loose and we will be fine. So what I'm saying to you is, once I loosen that up like that, there's nothing to worry about for AC because I never charged the system up. I'm not gonna charge the system up until this car is 100% good to go, and then I've worked out all the bugs and I don't have to worry about much. So I do hook it back up. Take this guy and move him out of the way. I'll actually probably disconnect all of that. Just disconnect it now. So again, 13 mils. All right, and the bolt sizes that I'm calling out, they may change with the different model years. My car is an 11 to 14 model year Hemi. It's a Eagle based Hemi, and most of the cars use the same bolts, but it could change. I don't know if Dodge changed it or not. So it's just easier for me to pull this stuff off because I'm going to need access anyway. So this guy is now out the way. Out the way. So it looks like these are 14 on the side of the AC compressor, which I didn't realize that. So stand by as I get this off. All right, so I just undid what needed to be undone off camera. So all I have to do now is just kind of pull this stuff out, which gotta be careful doing so. Oh, always something. Forgot about that. Oil pressure switch. Oil pressure switch is now done. And voila. Harness is loose, so now I can kind of put it out the way, over here, out the way, sort of, kind of, a little bit, out the way. And then what I can do is access most of the bolts on the valve cover. There's going to be some that are just going to be a pain in the neck, but now we can get to the valve covers. This is just going to be tedious work. Goes something like this. Let me show you guys real quick. The ones in between here require me using a swivel and extension and a bunch of stuff, but literally it's that's loose, that's loose, that's loose. Top ones are always the easiest ones to get to, so just get them. The one in the front can be easy depending on what's going on. That's loose. So then you got these ones down low. They're a colossal pain in the tail feather. And I just remembered I gotta loosen up the dipstick as well. So I'm gonna pull this out so I don't break anything, so I don't have difficulty with that. And then I gotta loosen it up on here. So I'm gonna get this stuff done off camera. You should take the coil packs off. I don't. You should, because you don't want to mess anything up. But I've done this enough times that I know how to get it off without messing it up. So I'll cut the camera back on when I'm ready to start working on pulling the heads. More to come. Alright guys, so I had to go in the house and grab a short, not a deep wall socket, 8mm. And what that allowed me to do is get to the bottom ones, and just like that, valve cover is off. Looking at the valve cover, doesn't look like there's anything crazy underneath there, so nothing out of the ordinary. I'm looking at the top of this head, and I don't see any filings or anything like that there. Everything looks like the springs are still good. Nothing loose here. So we'll pull the rockers off, get the push rods out, check those out, and then that'll give me room to get the head studs loose and start doing that fun stuff. So yeah, more to come for sure. Alright guys, so what I'm going to suggest to you guys is get yourself, this is like a little tech tip, get yourself a box, a small box to put your nuts for your heads in. So this is, I don't know, something I ordered from Rock Auto that I saved because these things always happen. I always end up having to pull my motor apart, or something happens and I'm going to need to pull my stuff apart. So I've got 10mm here for the rockers, and that's going to go pretty quickly. And then I think these are 10mm for the small ones, and then these are 14 for the actual head studs. So let me just triple check. It might be 15, but I thought it was 14. It is 14. I've done this enough that I remember. It was 14 for those. So what I use, these are a 12-point deep wall socket, so that I can access each one of them. And how I take these off, you can take them off however you want, but how I personally take these off is the rockers. I do everything from the outside in, right? So outside, outside. Oh, not going to be able to get to that one. Outside. Hopefully I didn't screw this up. Nope, that's not going to work. So what we'll do is we'll grab the 10 1/2-inch. And we'll break this loose. There we go. So it's pretty much well loose. And the only thing holding these down is the middle one. So break this one loose real quick. Break this one loose because these bottom ones are a pain in the neck to get to. And that's the exhaust side. The intake side is pretty well easy. So once I do this with the intake, still's done. These are ready to come out. And I'll show you. I can just pull this right off after I loosen it up. Don't rush this because you can easily strip stuff out. Like, it's not worth rushing and breaking stuff. I've done this a bunch of times. So here are my intake push rods. I'll check these guys out once I get a moment. I'll check these guys out. Here's the intake push rods. Here's the intake shaft, rocker shaft. They have a little eye on them. Hopefully this is going to show up on here. They have a little eye on them. Oh, I don't know if that's going to show up or not, but they do have a little eye on it indicating it's the intake side. The exhaust side has nothing, so there's that. But yeah, stand by while I go do some other stuff, put some stuff away, and then I'll knock out the exhaust side. Alright guys, so here's a little quick tech tip. When I do this deal, I use a breaker bar because I ain't trying to die doing this without one. So here is what I got going on. I got my aluminum jack handle. Alright, so that one's loose. These are 110 foot-pounds torqued. So it takes a little bit of strength. That's a workout, boys. And girls, if there's any women watching, that is a workout. The problem is getting leverage. Like, once you have leverage, it's no big deal, but oh man. Getting leverage to begin with is a pain. Then of course I'm locking all my tools down that I need, because 3-pedal J is a klutz. But yeah. Alright, so now we can loosen it. Goodness, this is some heavy, tight stuff, but that's what you need when you're running boost. Don't skip arm day, guys. That's the lesson here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up off camera. You guys hear me breathing hard and struggling, and I don't like embarrassing myself that way, so I'll finish this still up off camera and we'll go from there. Oh nice, it rolled right out to me. That never happens. Of course we got to clean it up, but this is why we have the box here for the nuts. We don't want to lose any of this stuff. There's washers as well, which is nice. Oh, that one came right on out. So sometimes when you're doing this, if you're lucky, it'll come right out, and like I can loosen, like the first one came completely out, and now I'm loosening up the second one by hand. That'll come out with the washer. The middle one definitely is not loose, and the last three are not loose, so I'll have to use the Allen for that, but it's all good. I'm not tripping. Got two out pretty easily. So I'll cut the camera back on once I get everything ready to pull on, and I'll pull this guy. You guys can see what it looks like, and we'll go from there. So I'm pulling the top studs out. I loosened them all up by hand. Now I'm using my 3/8 drive. Swivel for the bottom ones just because of the angle coming in. It's just a pain. So, but this makes short work of it once you get it set up. So. is why we get our box and put it there so we can just pull them out. There are nuts, I'm sorry, there are washers that are here as well that are a bit of a problem at times to get. So when you pull the heads, if they don't come out with the stud, just leave them there, but just be careful, make sure you don't lose them. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, sometimes you can grab them, sometimes you can't. It just depends, you just gotta get lucky. You gotta get a feel for it. But then, once you've done it a couple times, you'll develop a routine and you'll figure it out. A magnet typically is what I use. I'm trying to see if I can just get it out without all that, but I'm not going to struggle and fight today. I just want to get this done because I got to get these heads pulled and I got to get stuff done. Oh, sorry, I did all of these. Cool. Alright, so that's that for that. I'm a little bit of a clown today. Alright, so I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to sit it over here so I don't mess it up. The heads, there are some dowels that is associated with it. And then on the back here, there's also the little prong that sticks back out that holds the water tube, the water pump tube for coolant system and all that good stuff. That's all on the back of the head. So I did that before I came over here and did this part. I'm gonna pull this guy. Obviously, you guys can't see me because it's so freaking heavy, especially with that on there. Get this. I'm gonna take this back to my bench, and we gotta take the exhaust off of it. Let's zoom in and show you guys why E85 is so awesome. Let me zoom in. Guys, this is why E85 is so awesome. You guys watched me pull the heads. You see that I didn't do anything. You can still see there's some residual on the pistons here. You can see how it burns. You can see right here, this one's going to be definitely showing. And you can see how clean these are. Let me do this. Let me do this. It's probably going to be shaky Johnson here, but this is the entire passenger side bank of the motor. I just pulled it out. Obviously, there's always going to be some residual that gets in there from the coolant, but these don't look like, let me turn this light on my head. These don't look like they've had any piston to valve interference. They don't look like there's anything wrong. Everything happened in the bottom of the motor from what I can tell. But look at how clean that is. Look at how clean that's incredible. How clean these pistons are. Factory pistons, stock. So that's the advantage of running E85, guys. That's why all the cool kids use it, all the fast guys use it, or methanol, alcohol-based content. It just makes sense, man. It just really makes sense. So that being said, we still got work to do. Still got lots of work to do. At least now I can get the exhaust pulled off and I can go down to EFI Specialties and go from there. So it's always something to do. It's always some type of stuff happening. I'm gonna call it on this video. So let's wrap it up. There's still a lot that I have to do. I gotta still pull the exhaust off of the head. I gotta clean up all of the ports in the engine. I've gotta wipe down the head gasket. They're reusable. They're kinetic head gaskets. They're 5-layer, multi-layer steel gaskets. So you can use them like up to three times, retorquing them. I don't know how true that is. I've definitely gotten away with doing it twice without any leaks. I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get away with it again. So I'm going to use those again when I put the forged 5.7. Wow, I can't speak. When I put the forged 5.7 stroker in, I'm going to reuse those kinetic 5-layer multi-layer steel gaskets with the 6.1 heads. That's right, I said 6.1 heads. So we're doing some custom stuff here. I've got to get some push rods made, measured, and made up for it. So I'm going to go to Mantic for that. And that's pretty much it. I got everything else. So I'm going to rerun my Hellcat oil pump, and everything else is just a matter of disassembling the engine. Get this one out, take the lifters out that I need, decide if I'm going to go with the Comp 270 or if I'm going to use the Modern Red headache cam. I haven't quite decided that yet, as this comes out to time on that deal. But for the most part, we're ready to go. So my goal, I'm still on target to make my goal of being ready by September. We got to get back in and get tuned and do all of that good stuff. But I'm not going to drag this video on. It's probably like an hour already, so I got to edit it and then we'll cut it down. But that being said, rev her up, dump the clutch, grab a gear, disappear. Peace.